Thursday, May 18th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to learn more about the Spring Rowing Rendezvous. It's a great event that will allow attendees the chance to try out a rowboat on Calmus Beach. Then we're going to learn more about Barnstable High School's senior art show at the Geyer Barn. That's going to be held this Friday. And finally, we'll find out what's happening on Beacon Hill with State Senator Julian Cyr. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. Town Council will begin work on the 2018 operating budget tonight. Also on the agenda is a resolve that would allow the town of Barnstable to join the Cape Light Compact Joint Powers Entity. That resolve would also allow the town manager to execute an agreement with the organization. Town Council meets Thursday night at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. That meeting, of course, will air live right here on Channel 18. Well, if you're in the market for a small boat, you might be able to find a bargain during an upcoming auction. The Barnstable Harbor Master Division is hosting a sealed bid auction of surplus and abandoned vessels. The auction will take place at the Marine and Environmental Affairs Office on Finney's Lane, Saturday, May 20th. There is additional parking in the vacant lot across the street. Payment shall be made by check or cash payable to the town of Barnstable. You can see a full list of vessels that will be included in the auction on the town's website. The Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce is hosting a seminar on wage and hour immigration compliance for the hospitality industry. The seminar will focus on how to comply with federal and state laws, any changes in the laws, and how to avoid some costly mistakes. The Wage and Hour Seminar will be held Tuesday, May 23rd at Cape Cod Community College. Seating is limited for that event. Call the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce to register. And just a note there, attendees do not have to be Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce members. It is open to everyone. Well, up next, we're going to learn more about that Spring Rowing Rendezvous with organizer Bill Sterling. So, Bill, thank you so much for joining us today. Very excited to talk about the Spring Rowing Rendezvous. But before we talk about the event, I want to talk a little bit about the Cape Cod chapter of Traditional Small Craft Association. What is the association?
Well, the National Association is a group that started at Mystic Seaport back in the early 70s and to promote the use of small traditional rowing sailing craft. And locally, a friend of mine and I met at the Maritime Museum. We had both just finished building our own rowboats and sailboats, and we started going out rowing. We row year-round on the Cape waters here, and we felt that there would be many other people of the same interests. So we had joined the national program, so we started a local chapter. And since we both volunteer at the Maritime Museum, so they've been good enough to allow us to meet and use the museum facilities.
Let's talk about your volunteer experience. Probably many of our viewers who watch the program might know about the program through the Recreation Division run with the Cape Cod Maritime Museum. You actually volunteer to help kids learn how to build a boat.
Yes, they're mostly middle school children. We've been doing this for 4+ years now, and it's usually an after-school program where they come in and we prepare the boat kit, so they of course don't use the power tools and things, but we make all the pieces and then we put them together with the kids, and we try to incorporate some math using fractions and measuring and that sort of thing. And of course they learn hand tools and teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork is a pretty big, important skill to have.
Yes, and a lot of the kids are very excited about coming, each week.
And then seeing the end result is such an amazing experience. I know they've gotten out and they've gotten a chance to ride on the boat that they build. Seen that multiple times. Really cool. What is it like to see their faces when they see that they complete a boat?
It's satisfying that they've feel excited about it, and they are learning to do things with their hands, and that they can actually accomplish, putting something together.
And building wooden boats, they can be so beautiful. It's almost like an art form, really. What got you into building boats?
Well, I'm a retired engineer, so I enjoy, building things and reading blueprints and things. And back when I bought my first sailboat, I needed a dinghy, so I built one. It's just the fun of putting a boat together and being able to use it. So I've built a number of boats now and haven't sold any of them. We still have them all.
So exciting. And now your group, the Traditional Small Craft Association, the chapter here on Cape Cod, you're with the Maritime Museum. You're holding a spring rowing rendezvous. This is really an awesome opportunity. Your group, you're going to take lots of boats over to Calmus Beach for this event and allow people to try it out.
Yes. We had to do it, of course, before Memorial Day to have the Recreation Commission allow us to use the beach. So we picked May 20th, as close as we could get to the season. But we hope to have 15 to 20 different boats. We will have peapods, skiffs, dories, Adirondack, guide boats probably, wherries, and so people can try a lot of different types of boats and see how a well-designed rowboat can be rowed versus an inflatable or what most people have today, which are not really good rowboats.
So interesting too that so many of the people that are bringing their boats to participate in the event have built them.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool to see the finished product that they get to work on.
Yes, and of course we love talking about boats. So. And we'll be there to help people that have never rowed before, to get them the basics, and again, get them out on the water for short rows.
What amazes me too is that you don't have any fee for the event. You're doing this and just sharing your love with the community. So really a cool event for anyone who wants to get out on the water and try a rowboat, see what it's like.
Yes.
And so you guys will also be, if anyone, like you said, isn't experienced, you will be there to help. Is there anything individuals should bring with them? Do they need to bring a life jacket or anything like that?
We'll have life jackets, adult life jackets for sure, in each boat. If they're bringing children along, if they have a life jacket that fits their child, it'd be a good idea to bring that. We'll have some children life jackets, but depends on their size and all of that. So it'd be good if they bring that. And they should be prepared to get their feet wet, because getting in and out of rowboats on the beach, some of us will have boots because we row a lot in the wintertime, so we have boots. But if they have tall boots, it would make their life easier. Otherwise, they may
keep your feet nice and dry.
Yeah, well, and warm. It's going to be cool in May. The water's still pretty chilly, but that's really all they have to bring.
Wonderful. That and a smile, right?
Yes.
So May 20th, the Spring Rowing Rendezvous, 12 to 4 at Calmus Beach. Thank you for joining us today, telling us all about this really cool event and your passion for boat building. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
My guest today was Bill Sterling. He is the president of the Cape Cod chapter of Traditional Small Craft Association. Well, now we're going to learn more about Barnstable High School's Senior Art Show with Head of Art and Applied Technology, Matt Kemp. Thank you so much for meeting me over here at the Geyer Barn, Matt. Very excited to talk about this year's Senior Art Show. What can you tell us about the event?
Well, it's been going on for decades now, and it's a great opportunity for the students at Barnstable High School in the art department to show off what they've made all year long. So it's a great event. We have tons of people show up. The kids love it. It's an opportunity for them to sort of complete that circle, and all these pieces that they made and worked so hard on, they get to show them off and see what people think of them. So
it must help too, just learning what it's like to set up an exhibit, to interact with attendees during the exhibit. So it kind of gives them another side of the art world too, more than just creating art.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a huge part of any any artist, anybody who's working with the public needs to go through that process of putting all the little pieces together that make a show, from PR to hanging the show itself, to labeling, to telling the story with labels and coming up with signage that makes sense of the exhibit for people. All those little things help the students figure out how you would tell their story, the story of their work. And then when you have some people, you have the public coming in to take a look at it, you get to see how that story gets told, and they get to talk to people, tell them about what they did, about what it means to them. So it's one of our, it's like the jewel of the department. It's one of our most important nights of the year.
I would think that teaching art would be such a great experience, because so many times
awesome.
I would think it would be a less pressure class. Not to say that they're not learning a lot, but it really does allow them a chance to express themselves, maybe even work through some things through their art. Do you see that happening, and a lot of students really getting into art and enjoying the class?
Well, I'd say a little bit of both, because art at Barnstable High School is a requirement for them to graduate. So we do take the credit seriously, and it's a serious class that they are expected to do a curriculum for. But at the same time, it is always a personal experience for the kids, and it's an opportunity for them to find a little piece of their individuality and try to express that through art. So absolutely, a little bit of both, I would say.
And there's been some great events throughout the year that are going to be sort of included in this exhibit. One I'm thinking of is the interaction that the students had with the JFK Museum. Such a cool project. Some of that work will be on display during this art show.
That was a great show, and a great collaboration with another local institution. So what happened there was we had our fine arts students visit the JFK Museum and get kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into curating an exhibit there, and what some of the back room kind of operations of the museum are. They got to take a look at a number of different artifacts that were in their collection there. And then from that experience, the students curated a show. So they picked the artifacts that were personally connected to them, that they felt a connection with. So they gathered a bunch of different information from the museum, and then they made a response piece. So we have a number of different pieces that the students have made that show their personal connection with the material they saw at JFK. A real wide range of work, and it really shows off. I guess it's kind of cool that you see how many aspects of that museum and of JFK's life still resonate with students today. So that show will be included at the Senior Art Show.
And I was chatting with you just a bit before we started our interview today about the show, and one thing you told me is they're actually going to have virtual reality here.
Oh yeah.
And kids created their own virtual reality to share with everybody.
It's one of the real advantages of having a strong technology department at the school as well, or technology available to the students. This year we had our animation students create a virtual reality environment within a virtual reality machine called the Vive. It's really cool, very convincing when you put on the headset. It's not, you're there when you go in there. And so they made an entire sort of magic forest that you can interact with. There's a little magic shop you can go into, and it's really pretty cool and a great experience for them to get to work on new technology. It was neat going through the process. A bunch of the software we were using was being updated as like week by week as we were working with them. So they'd be like, I wish we could do this with this software. And Google would update it the next week, and they'd be like, oh, perfect, great, now we can.
Thanks, Google.
Yeah, thanks, Google. And then
it's like you heard us.
They're listening. They're listening. The other cool thing about that project is all the hardware was constructed by a BHS student. So it was a nice connection between the technology help desk student and our animation students to create a really cool environment. So that'll be here as well.
And then also, we also have to talk about cartoon work. Tell me a little bit about that portion of the show.
Well, we're lucky in the department to have, we have filmmaking, and we also have animation as course offerings for the students. So we're going to set up a little theater so that they can show off some of the short films they've made, some of the video production that they've put together, and also some of the animations.
Is that normal for high school students to have accessibility to a class on animation? It seems so advanced for me.
I didn't have that.
Yeah.
No, I think it's one of the real advantages of Barnstable. You know, we have 9 teachers, and We have a bunch of different options that that students can enjoy, from fashion design to animation. We have woodworking, we have the fine arts, of course, but we also have, there's some depth and some breadth to the department that can go a bunch of different ways. Great ceramics department.
Wonderful. Well, the show is, of course, Friday, May 19th. Can't wait. And then tell me what time it happens.
It's 5 to 7.
And is the public invited to attend?
Anybody, come on by. There'll be refreshments. Who doesn't like a little finger food? And there'll be a lot of different pieces to the show to enjoy. I think there'll be something for everybody there.
Wonderful. Can't wait for everyone to come by and enjoy it. And wish these seniors the best of luck as they move forward in their career path.
It should be a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
My guest today is Matt Kemp. He is the head of the Applied Technology, Art and Applied Technology Department at Barnstable High School. And joining us now live on the phone, State Senator Julian Cyr. Julian, a very busy time on Beacon Hill. It's, of course, budget season. What does that mean for your office and staff?
Good morning, Sarah. Yes, this is sort of the busiest time that we have on the Hill. It means that my staff and I have been working late. Actually, I left the State House, I think, last night around 11:30 p.m., so did many members of my staff. So we're taking a look at the budget that's been released by the Senate Committee on Ways and Means on Tuesday. There's some good news in there, and there's some things that we're trying to look and fix. And so that's what we're up to. Some good news from Barnstable and for the Cape. Something we've really been pushing is an expansion of the housing court. This is something that we do not have in Barnstable County, and was something that is going to really allow people to basically have a specific court to handle code enforcement issues, evictions, and other housing issues. So really glad that that's in there. The other big thing that's in the Senate Ways and Means budget is a room occupancy tax modernization. And so essentially this extends room occupancy to short-term rentals and to things like Airbnb and VBRO and others. And so this essentially levels the playing field around all room rentals across the region.
Will is it specified where that tax will go, or will it just go into the same fund that the other like a hotel tax would go towards?
So there's the state portion of it, which is 5%, and that just goes into the general fund. There's also municipalities have a local option that's up to 6%, and that means that our communities on the Cape can opt in to have as much as 6%. Most of the communities in the Cape actually have a 4% additional local option right now, and so our communities can opt into that. If they opt in, those monies go right back to our town. That's a pretty big deal, considering that more than half of the rooms and the second homes in the Commonwealth are on the Cape.
Yeah, and they really did. They didn't have to pay that tax like a hotel or motel would. So really just closing that loophole there with this budget.
Yeah,
do you think that'll pass? I mean, do you think
this is how people vacation has changed, right? And so we've got to sort of catch up that system to sort of how people are vacationing.
Yeah, you're right. Got to keep up with that technology. It is ever changing. Tell me a little bit. Were there any specific requests that you made and wanted to see in the budget?
Yes, so we're working on a number of requests that we're trying to get in there. I had actually specifically requested both the room occupancy piece, which has been important, and the housing court, which was baked into the budget. We've got a lot of work to do, though, to make sure that we get funding for services for victims of childhood abuse on the Cape. This is funding for Children's Cove. There's actually a pretty sizable chunk of money that we need to get in there so they can keep their doors open. We're working on providing language for housing, both caseworker work that the Housing Assistance Corporation does in Martha's Vineyard, and some of the work in Barnstable. The Barnstable County Fire and Rescue Training Academy, they need a fix around essentially there's a pot of money from insurance funds, and we've got to fight to make sure that they get their fair share of that. And then looking at the host of other help for for a nonprofit organization that does site loss services, looking at a community housing initiative, and also looking at affordable childcare in Barnstable County. So lots of lots of things to look at.
I want to ask you this question. Let's talk a little bit about the process. So
Yep.
Where are we in the process, and when do you expect this to be complete?
So in the process, the Senate Committee on Ways and Means released their budget on Tuesday. By the end of the day today, my team, senators, and I need to submit all of my proposed amendments. We chew over those over the weekend, and we come back, and we're going to start debating the budget on Tuesday. And actually, the really good news here is actually the Senate. We're awaiting renovations of our chamber, and we thought we were going to have to do our debate sort of elsewhere in the building, and now we'll be back in the chamber for this. So this would be a much a much easier process. And so we're going to start debate on Tuesday. It will likely go a solid 3 days. We like to be really deliberative in the Senate. So we'll start on Tuesday. We'll go through Wednesday and Thursday, and these are pretty long days. So usually we stay in session well past 9 or 10 p.m. every night.
Yeah, that's right. I think isn't there a rule you can't go beyond midnight or 11:30 or something?
There is a rule, and then we always vote to extend it if we need to. So my bet is I think we'll wrap up on Thursday night, but we may go into Friday as well if needed.
Yeah,
so it's so for folks who are interested in supporting the work that we're doing or others, the other piece we do is as senators is we co-sponsor each other's legislation. So actually, an issue that's been really important to people that I'm filing is the Open Cape proposal that Randy Hunt had filed in the House. So I'm going to be proposing that and pushing for that. We've had hundreds of people reach out when Randy filed this in the House.
Yeah, lots of support for that.
Lots of support for that. So, for folks who are interested in that sort of issue, having them reach out to other senators and asking them to support that, even if they don't live in the senator's district, that can be helpful.
Absolutely. Well, I know the Barnstable Youth Commission went to the State House yesterday. I traveled along with them. I know you got to meet with them. Was that very exciting to see some really budding young people really care about politics and all these issues, current issues, and sort of arguing for things that are important to them?
It was awesome, and it also reminded me, this is how I got my start in politics. When I was involved in the Nauset schools around art funding, and so that was just kind of exciting to say, hey guys, watch out, in 12 years you could be in my seat. But we had a really good, they have really specific creative proposals, and we spent some time talking strategically about how do you advance those. I certainly can relate to the challenge of being a younger person trying to engage in our public life, and so talked a little bit about the challenges of adultism and how you get some attention. So some of them are graduating, but there's a solid group that's going to be continuing their juniors and sophomores. There's actually there's a freshman up on the Hill yesterday, which was really awesome.
Yeah, it's great to see them out there engaging, learning about these issues, and just being really interested in the process. And I think it's really we have some. The future is bright here in Barnstable.
Totally. I'm more and more optimistic. The more I look at, especially the number of young folks who are engaged and getting engaged, and I think that only bodes well for us.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And, of course, look forward to chatting with you in just a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great day. All right. Bye-bye. That was, of course, State Senator Julian Cyr. Now let's go ahead and find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Author Robin Smith Johnson will visit the Cotuit Library this weekend. She's going to talk about her new book, Legends and Lore of Cape Cod. Smith Johnson is the newsroom librarian at the Cape Cod Times and teaches English at Cape Cod Community College. Smith Johnson's talk will be held this Saturday afternoon at the Cotuit Library at 2. The event is free to attend. A dedication of the community shade structure recently donated by the Glenna Cole Fund for Hope will be held this Sunday. The organization donated 2 sunshades. Those are worth about $13,000. One sunshade will be installed on Craigville Beach. The other is at Dowses Beach. The dedication ceremony will be held at 9:30 Sunday, May 21st at Dowses Beach. The event takes place just before the annual Piggy Trot, so parking will be at a premium. Early arrival is recommended. Site plan review meets today at 9 a.m. in the Town Hall hearing room, and Town Council meets at 7. Also in the Town Hall hearing room. That meeting will air live on Channel 18. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. On tomorrow's show, we'll chat with Arts Foundation of Cape Cod Executive Director Julie Wake. She's going to tell us about some great things the organization is doing, and we'll talk with Recreation Director Patty Machado, and so much more. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.